Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Disneyland Hotel Diary. So, you're planning that magical trip and you hit that first big hurdle. Where are we gonna stay? Today, we're doing a deep dive into one of the most talked about and maybe notorious budget options right across the street from the parks, Abby's Anaheimer Inn. On the surface, it promises a killer price and an unbeatable location, but oh boy, the reviews tell a story that is, well, it's a wild ride. Let's get into it. So here's our game plan for breaking this all down. First, we're going to talk about the classic Disneyland dilemma that we all face. Then, we'll look at this hotel's one undisputed golden ticket, its location. After that, we dive into the big one, the rooms, and the huge gap between promise and reality. We'll also investigate the service, which honestly sounds like a total roll of the dice. And finally, we'll try to come to a verdict. Is staying here actually worth the risk for your vacation?
All right, let's be real. We all know this struggle. You want to be close to the magic. You want to be right there in the action. But you really don't want to spend your entire vacation budget on a hotel room you're barely going to see. You're hunting for that sweet spot, that perfect balance between price, convenience, and just basic comfort. And sometimes it can feel totally impossible.
And that's exactly where a place like Abby's Anaheimer Inn swoops in. On paper, it looks like the perfect answer, right? It's advertised as budget-friendly, and it's literally just a short walk from the park entrance. It seems to check all the right boxes for someone who just needs a simple place to crash after a long day of rope dropping and churros. But, as we're about to find out, what's on paper and what's actually behind the hotel room door can be two very, very different things.
Okay, but before we get into the drama, let's start with the hotel's single greatest asset. This is the #1 reason people book this place, and it's the one thing that even the most scathing one-star reviews can't argue with: the location. And the numbers don't lie. Out of nearly 200 guest reviews, the location scores a really solid 4.0 out of 5. That is a seriously good score, and it tells you that when it comes to sheer convenience for getting to and from the parks, this place absolutely delivers. And that 4.0 score isn't just about being close to Disneyland. You're also within easy walking distance of the Anaheim Convention Center, the House of Blues, and the Anaheim Garden Walk if you want to grab some food or do a little shopping. This is a huge, huge perk. We're talking no need for shuttles, no paying for Ubers, and no dealing with that absolute nightmare that is the Disney parking garage. This convenience is the hotel's main selling point, without a doubt. So, the location is a total home run. Fantastic, but you don't sleep on the sidewalk, you sleep in the room. And this, my friends, is where our story takes a very, very sharp turn. The hotel's website talks about comfortable, newly remodeled rooms, but what guests are actually finding can be dramatically different. And wow, this slide right here says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the official marketing photo, complete with a newly renovated banner. It looks clean, modern, totally fine. And on the right, a photo from a guest's review showing a bug just hanging out on their spoon. This is the promise versus the reality in one single horrifying image. And believe me, it gets so much worse. This is a direct quote from a guest who stayed in August of 2022. We opened the refrigerator, and inside was a box of KFC chicken, a pack of moldy hot dogs, and a spoiled liter of milk. You just can't make this stuff up. That's not just, oh, they missed a spot cleaning. That is a whole other galaxy of neglect.
So yeah, with stories like that one, this number here starts to make a whole lot more sense. The overall rating for the hotel is a poor 2.7 out of 5. And that is a massive drop from the 4.0 for location, which just goes to show you how badly the other categories are dragging the whole score down. Okay, and this chart, this is where it gets really telling. Look at this. Location is way, way up there at a 4.0. But then you see service at 3.1, cleanliness at 3.0, and the rooms themselves all the way down at a 2.8. You can literally see with your own eyes how that one great feature is propping up what is otherwise a really, really poorly rated experience.
So you really have to ask yourself this question. After walking 10+ miles in the park all day in the sun, is this what you want to come back to? Hey, if you're finding this deep dive helpful for planning your own trip, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps us keep digging into more of these hotels for you guys. All right, so the rooms are a major red flag, but the problems don't just stop there. The next big point of contention for this hotel is the service. And based on the reviews, checking in here is like flipping a coin. You truly have no earthly idea what you're going to get.
And just look at this contrast. It is night and day. Some guests rave, saying the staff are nice people and very helpful and polite. But then you have just as many reviews on the other side of the spectrum describing the staff as incredibly rude, horrible, and one person even said the male clerk was out of his mind. There is just zero consistency.
But then you get to allegations that are, well, frankly, they're scary. One guest, Kiana M., posted this review in all caps. "They stole my diamond ring." She claims her ring went missing right out of her purse after housekeeping had cleaned the room. I mean, that's not just bad service anymore. That's a whole other level of problem. That's a huge security concern.
And to add to that feeling of just, unease, another reviewer described the general vibe of the clientele in a really jarring way. They said they felt like they were surrounded by gypsies committing felonies. Now look, that's obviously some really intense language, but it absolutely paints a picture of the kind of unsafe environment that some guests felt during their stay.
Okay, so we've got the amazing location, the not-so-amazing rooms, and a service experience that's a total crapshoot. It's time to bring it all together and weigh the good against the bad so you can make an informed decision for your trip.
And this table right here just breaks it all down, doesn't it? The pros column is short, but it's powerful. An excellent walkable location, a budget-friendly price, and free parking, which is a huge money saver in Anaheim. Plus, they've got a pool and a jacuzzi. But that cons list, it's long and it's alarming. We're talking reports of serious filth and bugs, inconsistent and often just plain rude service, major safety concerns like actual theft, and dated rooms that sometimes don't even have basic things like hot water.
So, in the end, it all boils down to this one final question. You might save a couple $100 by staying here, but how much is your peace of mind actually worth when you're on vacation? Is the risk of a dirty room, hostile service, or even having something stolen, is that risk worth the savings? That is the gamble you take with Abby's Anaheimer Inn, and it's a decision only you can make. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.